A few words about Christiane Arp, editor-in-chief of Vogue Germany. She's a welcome and highly respected presence on the international scene, but she's also the most ardent and, I would have to say, effective supporter of the home team. She initiated the Vogue Salon, which is a showcase for up-and-coming talent, is co-initiator of the Berliner Mode Salon, which started just last year in 2015, and also, as of last year, when it all started, is president of the Fashion Council Germany, of which I'm also a founding member. I clearly remember the first time I met her. It was up in the Boss showroom in Düsseldorf, and she'd just taken up the reins of Vogue Germany, so we're talking 2003. And here I was this little sort of chattering terrier of a New York editor. I always was like that. And there was this tall, composed, commanding presence who knew what she was talking about, had a critical eye, and extremely high standards. So needless to say, I liked her immediately. And though from different perspective, given our heights, among other things, we often see eye to eye on a lot, like Germany's emerging talent. And now, please welcome Christiane Arp.
I didn't get everything that you said, but I think it was really nice. Thank you for that.
Hello, guten Abend. Oh, I thought you could hear back there. Sorry, I would have brought you up first. I'll give you my note card. I'd like to say that if we look exhausted, it's because we are. We just finished the Berlin Fashion Week rounds. It's a morning to night endeavor. And so I guess that's the first question. Where are we? How would you sum up the state of German fashion? And were you and your team satisfied?
We are getting there, I would say. That is status quo. I think that, as you said, that we just started. I started Vogue Salon 5 years ago, so it was the 10th Vogue Salon. But we started this initiative, which means the council and which means Berliner Mode Salon just 1 year ago. It was the third time. And speaking about this short period of time, I think we really succeeded so far. So we have awareness, which is really important, and something is happening for the good. And I think that is that I'm satisfied with.
Okay. I meant also, even more specifically, it's about, were you satisfied with what you saw?
I was satisfied with a lot of things, but as you know, I'm never satisfied. I'm never satisfied with what I do, and I'm never satisfied because I all the time think I see something and then I imagine how it could be. So I think that when it comes to runway shows, hair and makeup is so important. The girls, the shoes, is so important. So it's getting better and better, but it's not good enough.
Yeah.
But sorry, but I think it's. I saw some shows, and I can see that these young talents, they have a voice. They have a strength, and that is the most important thing, first of all.
Yeah, and to further develop, and I just sent in my top 10 list, or they wanted 8, I gave them 9. And there have been seasons where I don't have an easy time. A lot of it has sometimes to do with the photos. The collection looked great, but the photos don't. And I can't figure out what's wrong there, but we have to fix it. Though I missed people this season. There are a lot of designers who are emerging and more established that don't show in a way that I can present, and so we lose opportunities. But they're there, and I think through endeavors like the Berliner Mode Salon, which we'll talk about more, we're getting an incredible group together. Because exposure, it's such a critical issue. And first at retail, and that's the biggest challenge these days, but retailers are also a highly challenged species. It's really hard to push through. It's the great wall of retail. How do you see that? Is that one of the reasons why you started the Vogue Salon?
Vogue Salon was founded at a time when I was just, let's put it that way, fed up with all the negative things that I read about German fashion. Mostly from people that I never saw in a fashion show or in a showroom. And I thought it was unfair. So that's why that was the point when I decided, okay, Christiane, stop talking, do something. And that was the reason why I founded Vogue Salon. To give this young emerging talents like a stage and a place where they could meet with retailers. Because it's also about trust. For the retailers, it's an investment, so it's money. And you invest when you trust. So, and I thought it's good to find this place twice a year where they can just meet, where I can bring them together.
I mean, to give you an idea, it was a small, it's about the size of this theater, no?
Yeah.
Where, how many designers is it?
This
6?
time we had 8.
8.
This time, but it varies from, we started with 4, I think, then there were 5, and now we have 8, and they stay with me for 4 seasons, because I think it's not enough if it's only 2 seasons. You have to see how they develop. So that's why they stay, most of the time they stay with me for 4 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the problem. Because I'm the person who sees problems. One of the big problems we have is this stop and go situation in Berlin a lot of the times, where people show for 1 season, then they take off for another season, then they show again for another season. And even in terms of the kinds of exposure that the shows can give, it's hard. It's hard to build momentum when you stop and you go. But now, too, I mean, growing from that, and we've moved into a new wonderful spot, which is the Kronprinzenpalais on Unter den Linden, and it's just a dream of a little building where shows are being held, and then there is something called the Berliner Modesalon. And that was, as Christiane said, that came into the 3rd season this year, and want to tell us a little bit about that.
I was faced with the problem that when my talents leave the Vogue Salon, then where do they show? Where do they do their presentations? And and I was afraid that Berlin, as a big city with beautiful locations, that nobody could find them anymore, or that one was there and the other one was there, and you can't manage to do both. And so I thought that we need something that where I can just show what I see all together. And then on the other side, when I'm at the international shows and I'm asked about status quo of fashion design in Germany, and where, if somebody would come, where should they go? So I thought it's great to have a place for a short amount of time, so if somebody is interested, could fly in, see what I see, and then fly out again, because time is money, especially for buyers. So, and then Markus Kurz from Nowadays, who is, I call us the parents of Berliner Modesalon, who is the second half of the idea of Berliner Modesalon. We sat together in, I think, late 2014, and had the feeling that if we don't get it together, then
we don't get it together.
We don't get it together. So that's why he said, you know what, I was offered the Kronprinzenpalais. You have an idea. And I said, Berliner Salon. And he said, what does it mean? And I said,
Mode.
Mode. All together, and a place for the talents from Vogue Salon. And we can show what we see. So, and then 3 months later, you remember you were there when we had a meeting?
Fast. I just heard about this, and I had to get a preview done for Women's Wear Daily, and quick, oh God, this is news. This is going to be the story. That there's this kind of group, curated group event. I mean, curated is a word that's been overused, but that's really what it's about, and something that holds together. And I mean, it was absolutely packed. It was packed with very excited people. The retailers were excited who came, and there were many more who came than were expected. The designers who were taking part were excited, the journalists, and luckily we did get a lot of key journalists who don't always bother to go to this, that, and everything in Berlin. And so there was really a fabulous group feeling. And what's exciting as well is that right now, KaDeWe, for the second time in a row, is doing a Berliner Salon pop-up shop. Because the sad story is that I suspect if I threw out names, most of you people, unless you're in the fashion world, would never have heard of them. So take advantage, go look at the windows. You can be proud about what's coming out of this country. And that's, well, that's another big problem that we seem to have in Germany. And I've been covering the market for over 30 years and it hasn't gotten better. What is this problem that we have, that we can't, I mean, there's so many companies. When I first came here, it was like, this is really bizarre. All the names were Italian. Nobody really wanted to sound German. Now there are a lot of names that I can't pronounce, so perhaps I wish they were Italian. But what is this problem? We can't, I mean, I say we, I'm not German, but after 30 years, I guess I am, can't say, hey, this is good. Look at what we're doing. And that you people out there as consumers don't say, hey, this is good. I want it on my back. I want to support it in that way.
I think fashion never was part of our culture. So, and that is one of the main problems. It's just, of course, it's a big economy. It's a lot of money involved. But it was never really part of, you know, it's in different countries, you have fashion as one of the culture, the main culture things. Look to Italy. I'm invited, I just got the invitation by the new head of the Camera della Moda. That is like, oh, the Fashion Council of Germany is like Camera della Moda.
We're the last ones. So
yeah, we're the last ones.
We're like a lot.
And the new head of that invited us as editors, and the invitation is by Renzi. Could you ever imagine me inviting with Angela Merkel? Yeah. The international editors. So means that they're in different, it's another, they take fashion serious. And for us, or for the people, and I think you have the same, that when I started, fashion was not a profession.
Oh, well, unfortunately, it was a slogan from the Egeda company. And I always want to say, guys, this is not English. Fashion is my profession.
Yeah.
But.
And so I think that is, fashion is hard work. And to really have a great result, you have to work hard. And I think that is what I all the time make as it's one of my goals, to see that we accept fashion as part of our culture, that we have interest in. And that is one of the reasons why we founded the Fashion Council as well, that it becomes part of our daily life.
We shall see.
We shall see.
Yeah. One good thing, so the Berliner Moda Salon is going back to Paris in March. Last season, very exciting. There was a presentation with participating designers in the German embassy. Karl Lagerfeld came, which meant that the story went into Women's Wear Daily in New York, and for America, and for international readership, and so that helped. But what was the response, and what are you hoping? Is it expanded? I think there's a showroom of sorts this season. I'm not sure.
We are not really sure about the format yet, but we are just seeing the person in charge next week. So, because I think that in fashion as well, if you do it once, then it doesn't mean that it works the second time. So I'm all the time a little afraid of repeating myself. So that's why we have to think what we do next. But we are invited again by the German ambassador in Paris. And just right now, it's just about the format, how we want to do it. But it's clear and it's signed that we do it again. What I think is the great thing about this is that we get attention from abroad, that something is happening in Germany, that there are people who support it, and that we have a voice. And on the other side, and that is what we talked about, it's for the ones that joined us to Paris, there is this feeling of a group, of we together, which never was the fact before. All the time they had the feeling they were by themselves. And right now, I just heard yesterday from somebody, you know what, I met this, and we do a showroom together in Paris, and we rent an apartment together, and I feel so happy that I have this. And I think that is important as well, that they are a group of people, and that was a great result by the invitation as well.
Yeah, it's life-giving, and I hear of it also. Some men's designers I know are thinking of banding together in one way or the other. Yeah, there's strength in numbers. There's also, I talked to Dorothy Schumacher, who is, the Berliner Mode Salon is a mix. It's sort of some of our grown-ups, more established designers like Dorothy, like Talbot Runhoff, like O'Day, and then a whole bunch of people on various levels of emergence who are taking part. And Dorothy said, you know, those of us who've been in business for a long time, we have such great context, let's take this show on the road. And so that there's also, everything is developing. It's all, sometimes we think it's all happening too slowly. There's we're running out, we don't have a lot of time. There are a lot of people in a make or break situation, but things are happening, and it's sort of step by step, and sometimes we're frustrated. And with the German Fashion Council Germany, we look back, we thought nothing had happened, and then we look back, and what had happened in a year was quite extraordinary. So this is a chapter that also could be, that will also continue in
And I think because
way.
you just mentioned O'Day and Talbot Runhoff and Alud, they all left Berlin.
Yeah.
So because they had their issues, so that's why we thought, okay, how can we get them back? And it was just that it showed us when they said, yes, okay, we are there, we support you, we support this idea, is that when the format is right, then they will come back. And they are with us for 3 times right now, and they will stay, and they love it. And Talbot Runhoff, they did a showroom, they sold collection in Berlin, and they really did business. So it can work.
And if there are trunk shows, I mean, it's another way also of, one of our problems is also getting consumers to have a glimpse of German fashion. And also the reason we have people like, there are people like O'Day, etc., is because, well, I'm putting words in your mouth, but to try and give an idea, I mean, this is the next question, an idea of German fashion. So what are we talking about when we talk about German fashion?
Good question. What I thought when I was in Vogue Salon 2 days ago is that I right now love the idea of, as you know, that I say I love the idea that there is no German fashion as a particular
there's no
style.
Look, yeah, no.
As a as a certain
block,
look. And I like the idea that is a cosmopolitan style. And when you look at David Tomaszewski, or when you look at Vladimir Karalev, or you look at Nobita Lai, or you look at Marina Hermannseder, or you look at René Stork, 5 different nationalities. And they are all here when there's Fashion Week. And I think that is this international style that I see here right now, which is really interesting for, I think, all of you who travel a lot, to have different approaches to style and to fashion. And that is something that Berlin can stand for as well in the future. It's a big melting pot.
I mean, what I've tried to explain to people about the Fashion Council and our point of view, and you and I, we both say we're sort of designer mommies, you know, supportive and critical at the same time, because criticism is important. It means you're being taken seriously. But there's always been a problem in Germany that there is a big apparel industry. But with a few exceptions, there hasn't been a big fashion industry. And the Fashion Council Germany is not really, doesn't necessarily conceive itself as an industry organization. We have industry organizations in Germany. That wasn't the necessity. The necessity was to bring something else forward and to give it a bit of support. When you look back, as I say, it's been 1 year, and everyone is, there's so many people who are hoping to be saved by the Fashion Council. That can't necessarily be done. Councils don't save anybody. They support and they try to share information and to give Rat und Tat. But what were the milestones for you this year?
I think founding the council.
Getting it legally founded.
Exactly, getting it legally founded and really do it. I think that was because we were talking about it for a long time, and then of course it was, you know, when Bread and Butter closed the doors, and we all were afraid that that was the big message of the Fashion Week in January last year, and we didn't avoid that. And we did avoid that because we said, no, we found the council, we do it right away. We come up with the Berliner Mode Salon. So, and then, really that it was not just an idea for one time, then to do it again and do it again. I think that was already it's somehow something that I never thought that we could manage in such a short time. And then to see that the quality of the design and what we see is really increasing. If you have a stage and you see an actor for the first time because it's his first engagement, and you see him after 10 years staging, it's a total difference. But it's the same for a fashion show. It's the same for a fashion designer. So give them a stage, let them develop, coach them, advise them in a professional way. And I think that really we have a big potential in Germany. Why shouldn't we? I mean, hey.
No, I mean, you've always said, and a lot of other people say, there are German designers working everywhere in the fashion industry.
And not only the big ones that everybody has in mind.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about Carl.
In every team, when you talk to Erdem, I think Erdem has 6 German people in his team. So, and they're all over the world. There are Germans in the big and successful teams. I think that is a goal as well, that a lot of this talented young people, they leave our countries, they join one of the great schools, great universities, and then we don't manage to get them back.
Yeah.
They stay in Paris, they stay in London. Doesn't mean that it's easier there. No, it's not. I have a conversation with all of them, it's not easier for them, and some of them wish they could come back, but they don't see. I mean, right now they start looking at the country again and say, okay, we can see that something is happening. People start talking about it, but I think that is something that we have to manage as well to get these talents back.
Yeah, I'm wondering, I don't have figures in front of me or in my head to think about, you know, how big is the French apparel industry compared to the German fashion industry? Are there more possibilities of jobs? Possibly what there is just a lot more going on and a lot more interest. It's the same in London. Though London also started, you know, with people sewing in their basements and the hems falling down, and it wasn't very good and it wasn't very professional. But at the same time, there were always some slightly more established designers who kept things running, and then a traditional situation like Savile Row, but which has also completely transformed itself.
But then remember, I mean, there was a certain time when none of us went to London anymore, because it was not really, it was nothing that, why I had the feeling that I had to go there. And then when they were aware of this, and the British Fashion Council then did kind of a rebirth, and right now you only, or they at that time only had 6 people, 6 designers. Yeah. And they were the reason why I went there. You don't need 50. You don't, but you
need a couple. Need a couple with pulling powers.
And you have to help them, and you have to establish them. And I'm, even if I'm exhausted right now, because it's really a lot of work, but I think that we are on the right track.
I think so too. I have one more question, so I'm gonna. It's a question I want to ask. There's an important word it's one of our most important words, but I almost hate this word, and the word is relevance. And the reason I hate it is because when I'm at what I think are some of the most promising designer shows, and I'm all alone. No, Vogue is always there. I ask my peers, I say, well, you know, why don't you go to these shows? Why aren't you there? And then I'm always told it's not relevant. And then when I ask what is relevant, it's 2 big names who have big advertising budgets. And we know that's really, really important, but it's not one or the other. I mean, if you're in Berlin and you're not here, I mean, you should be curious about what's going on. But relevance is a word that we hear. I'm wondering, what does it mean to you? Because I think, what makes a brand relevant? What makes a collection relevant for you? What do we think is relevant today? It could be different tomorrow.
An own voice.
Yeah, okay.
I think that is relevant to me when it comes to fashion design.
Yeah, me too.
It's not the copy of something. I think relevant is because fashion is emotion. You don't need another outfit. You have enough. I have enough. So why do you buy something? Because you have the feeling you want it.
Yeah.
And it does something to you. So fashion is totally emotion. And if I see a voice, I call it voice because it's something that if fashion talks to me.
Yeah, me too. It has to call me with my
exactly,
name.
Exactly. I want that a beautiful dress finds me. And
they do.
They do.
Yeah, they really do.
I'm totally,
One just found me the other day.
Yeah, it sounds maybe a little crazy, but I'm really by heart a stylist as well. I still do my own productions, and it's the same. And when I'm with all these clothes racks, you know, and like this tons and tons of beautiful outfits, then I need, like, everybody has to leave the room because I just have to be by my own, and then the clothes, they have to talk to me. So that's why I want that fashion finds me. And that means fashion with a strong voice finds you. So, and I mean, think of Marina Hermannseder. Her fashion has a strong voice. And I think there's more and more happening like this. So, and I want, and that is what I tell my colleagues, give them a chance. Have a proper look, and then judge, and not before.
That's why I go everywhere like a crazy woman, because
and now we do trunk shows.
Yeah,
that's the next step.
Well, all right, I'll carry. We have such a luxurious life as you schlep stuff along from one place to the other, and there's a lot of that in the fashion world as well. It's your turn.
I have a question on education in fashion. How would you assess the level, the quality of fashion education that, you know, an aspiring designer or can get in Germany? Because you mentioned yourself, a lot of Germans go out for education to St. Martin's or Parsons or whatever, and then never come back. So, do you think it's part of the problem? Maybe more people would stay here if they thought they could get a better education here.
Yes. Simple yes. We have too many schools. I think we have more than 40 schools. We have more than 1,000 young talents who leave the universities and schools is way too much. And I think that we need something that has a really deep and profound education. I see, we had in the Vogue Salon 2 days ago, we had Sarah Effenberger. She comes from UDK, Universität der Künste, and her label is called FOM. And we discovered her and took her on board because it's really great, really great. So, and I think Weissensee does a good job as well. But there are so many, and they I don't know whether it's really the fashion design that it should be, that they teach. And yes, if we would have 1 or 2 or 3 that everybody, even from abroad, would like to be and study, would have put a good spotlight on Germany as well.
They also, I mean, I always feel what they need is survival 101. Most people come out and they fall into a great black hole. But in all fairness, this is not only what happens in fashion. In art, for example, because my husband teaches as well, I think after a year, something like 5% of people who studied art at university are still in any way involved in art. So another thing that we really could use is, because we need a new generation of fashion entrepreneurs, is we really could use a fashion business studies program. There's very little of that going on, and that's one of the big holes we have right now.
How important do you think local production is for German designers? So that they produce in Germany with the quality or something like that?
I think we have the quality of production in Germany, but I think that is infrastructure is something that is important, of course. But I think that it's not, for me, it's just that it's important that they can do and produce how it's best for them. So if somebody like David, for example, produces, I think he produces in Poland, right?
Yeah.
Or has production
in Poland. And a lot of people do.
Yeah, so totally fine with me. But there is great production in Germany, yes. So great to use them.
Though we lost a lot.
Yeah.
There were, I mean, but it's still why there's still the relics of the ateliers that used to produce the thousands of samples for Escada, but a lot of them closed down 15 years ago. But there's still people there, and then there are little pockets. There are pockets in Brandenburg. There are pockets in Apolda, for example, for knitwear and so forth. So, but I think the key is good production. It's just that for many, let's say the challenge of being able to cope with getting your production set up overseas is without contacts is really, really difficult. But there is somebody in the audience here who knows how to do it, and then it's a great boon. So whatever, I agree, whatever works for them.
Additionally to the question with the education, I wonder if you think that it could help to enforce the field of fashion study, because I have the impression that you were talking about the term of relevance. In Germany, the fashion is often understood as not being relevant. And as well, I found that there is a little discussion outside of fashion magazines about fashion. So yeah, this was what I am wondering, if we need like a stronger inclusion of theory about fashion in university and scientific discourse, discussion.
No, discourse, correct.
Discourse.
Couldn't hurt.
Couldn't hurt. But I think that is exactly what I mean when I say that it's not part of our culture. So we, as fashion magazines, of course, we talk about fashion because it's our mantra. But the newspapers or the weeklies, they talk about fashion when there's Fashion Week. But fashion needs, and young fashion designers, they need a 365-day lobby. So for them, fashion, and for us in the industry, fashion is relevant every day. But that it's part of our cultural life. That has to increase, and we need the help from everybody. Ah, yeah, you wanted.
What's the best advice that you can give to somebody who wants to work in fashion design?
I think it's follow your heart. If you have the fear, for me, when I'm interested in somebody's design, then I'd love to talk. And I have, as you can imagine, an opinion about everything. So you don't have to ask me, I say something. And if somebody is in front of me and said, yes, Christiane, I understand your point, but I think it should be like this and this and this, wonderful. If the editor-in-chief of Vogue doesn't change your mind when it comes to your design, then it's great. That is what I mean with own voice. It has to be a strong voice because it's a tough business. And the best thing is, I think, if you don't look right or left, if you just...
I have a fantasy of trend reports being banned for 2 years, and I would just love to see what happens. So I think it could be great. People would have to rely on their own instincts and what they think. And our last question, actually, or maybe we can manage two. So one.
Good evening, Ms. Arp. May I ask you, what is your favorite part of creating an issue?
My favorite part? I think it's not parts, it's progress. It's work in progress. So it's not that when I'm finished with one, then I start to do the next one. It's just, for me, I still see it as a privilege to do what I do. And because to have this opportunity to communicate with people through a magazine, to show what you see when you're somewhere out there in the showrooms and the studios with girls, and see it as some of your goals as well, to teach people taste, because I think, and style, because that is more important than trends. Trends go, style stays. So I think that is what is my when I see and look through our magazine and have the feeling we did something that is right, that is maybe the greatest moment of my job.
And our last question.
Thanks so much for answering, for being with us here and sharing your thoughts, first of all. My question was, you said that you consider yourself to be a teacher, and we are here to learn from you. So do you plan, or are there existing such kind of formats where we can see you on TV, like, I don't know, like in America they have Project Runway, and see your designers watching how they grow, how...
So you want me to do a TV show?
I don't know, I'm asking you. If it's possible, if you plan to be closer to us, you know, I mean, you have such a knowledge in you, and we're here to learn from you. I mean, if you plan any... Being closer to us by making a show like Anna Tour in America, like being with us, you know.
Then she has
thank you so much.
Then we have to let Christiane be the producer, because God only knows what a normal TV, you know, they'll turn it into entertainment.
Yeah, that is. I think that is what I see your point when it comes to teaching, but. Teaching and entertainment are two different things, and I think that that's what I try to tell everybody, whether he wants to know it or not, is that fashion is not red carpet. Fashion is work. And so that's why I avoid the entertaining part. Whoever has a question, whoever I can give advice, I will. But I think it's not my profession to do that. But I you know, when you get louder, and I put the sticker here that I support young talents, then of course your voice gets stronger. So whatever I can do to support fashion design, I will. In Germany, I will. So you will see me around.
Okay, I think that is our evening. I thank you for venturing out in minus 10 degrees.
Hopefully we were not too boring.
No, then I hope so too.
Because fashion, we think fashion is really interesting, so we can talk about it.
Yeah, we chatted up it and complain. And then not complain. The idea is to get a positive spin, and it is a work in progress. We can only keep going, and we're at I think we're at one of the best stages that it's the best stage I've ever seen in German fashion. I mean, I was here in the 80s, there wasn't a hell of a lot to do. So we really, really have a chance, and we're trying to build on that chance. So we need your support too. Support your local designer.
We need believers.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.